Yes, people, welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that. Coming from the scintillating, sexy, searing heat of southeast England, I've just been outside and I had to have a shower before I recorded because, boy, it's hot. I'm not complaining, though. I like the warm. Anyway, welcome back to Chelsea News. Of course, the twice daily series here on the channel where I reflect on the headlines, what's going on with Chelsea, giving you my opinion on it. But hey, more importantly, asking for yours. Oof, so much to talk about. Chelsea naming rights for Stamford Bridge. Could it change? Ooh la la. £80 million for Moisés Caicedo? That sounds a lot better. Nicholas Jackson completes his medical. Oh, yes. And Simon Johnson writes on The Athletic about the Chelsea owners. Should we reflect negatively on them? Perhaps I treated you too harshly. Lots to get into, of course. A quick reminder to support your local sweating and far too hot content creator by simply dropping a like and subscribing to this YouTube channel. Heck, if you want more content, I upload all the ruddy time, so yeah. £21 million for Caicedo Koulibaly. Oh, I thought it was going to be like 16, 17 million pounds, but we've sold him to Saudi Arabia for over 20 million pounds. I'm okay with that. Absolved ourselves of the wages, the high wages. Made over, I know it's 21, but I'm just going to keep saying over 20 million because that makes me feel better. That does make me feel better. I'm not going to really talk about it properly today, but Chelsea are reportedly feeling very confident with the transfer of Moisés Caicedo, the Ecuadorian midfielder. He wants Chelsea, Chelsea want him. We've gone over that sort of love affair headline before, but really it comes down to the negotiations. That's right, the nuts and bolts of it is the money. Well, not for him because he's agreed personal terms, but between Chelsea and Brighton, the club that gives me fever dreams and PTSD. And I never thought it would be Brighton, but here we are. Yes. So that's good. £80 million, they reckon, which, yes, definitely will make your eyes water, but it will be, my hair's still hella wet, it would be £80 million fragmented in a favourable payment structure for Chelsea. Lest we forget, Enzo Fernandez was £105 million, and it was reported that Brighton wanted over 100, even 120, which makes me feel sick. I don't know if that's true, but the point being, that headline shouldn't be allowed to be printed because the pain that Chelsea fans have endured at the hands of a little seaside town football club called Brighton Hove Albion, we should not have to read such trauma-inducing headlines of Chelsea quoted £120 million for another player. Makes you sick. It makes you sick how far we done fell, whatever the bunk says in The Wire. I mean, there's a swear word in there naturally, but yeah, shout out to you, man, who've seen The Wire. Yes. So Moisés Caicedo, £80 million. We have entered a world where I sign off on that. How the ruddy heck we got here, I don't know. For Chelsea signing a young Brighton midfielder that's had a good season, that was bought for nothing, I'm saying, woohoo, 80 million. This is the current climate, people. We are through the looking glass now. Edouard Mendy is signed for Al Ahly as well. It's done, it's confirmed. He follows Koulibaly's, the issue is done as well. Of course, also N'Golo Kante. So, movements. Alrighty, right. So there has been stories about Kai Havertz loving up Arsenal loving up Kai Havertz, but as far as I'm concerned, he's no longer a Chelsea player, so I don't want to talk about that love affair. You do you, guys. Allianz, remember those guys? We were all sort of hoping they were going to become our new main shirt sponsor in terms of the aesthetic, the optics. So the optics contextually right, or the aesthetic, the look. It looks good on the shirt. The new shirt's actually pretty good. Allianz on it in gold badge. Bellissimo. I don't know if it'd be gold. Anyway, regardless, it was like a good looking sponsor. Of course, they didn't offer much money to be a front of shirt sponsor. Hence Chelsea looking at stake.com, which still, oh, there it is. Nausea. Hopefully there's still a chance we back out of that, but I have a feeling we're just going to do the stake.com for a year to get the money, and then when we're back in Europe, touch wood, or you just go for a long-term, better-looking sponsor, even though I do not sign off and I do not endorse a front-of-shirt gambling sponsor. But football is a turbulent place at the moment, and no one's seemingly getting what they want unless you're a Man City fan. And even then, you're dealing with 1,000 charges. So, yeah. Okay. Allianz want to name the Stamford Bridge? Why do I keep putting a "the" in front of things? The Stamford Bridge. Allianz sounded Chelsea out about... Well, they're sounding us out. The sounding us out isn't necessary. I mean, we don't... The thing is, what scares me is we've got American owners, and they love a sponsor name for a stadium. You know? I mean, you know, Etihad have done it, and Abu Dhabi have done it for, obviously, the Etihad Stadium. They just call it, but it's a new stadium. So they've named it themselves, so their sponsor. I kind of get that. If you get a new stadium, it's like the new White Hart Lane. Is that what Tottenham Stadium is going to be called? Whatever. That's the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The Chelsea Football Club Stadium sounds wank. I do not want that. It's Stamford Bridge. It has to remain Stamford Bridge. But I guess it would be Stamford Bridge by Allianz. Or something like that. How do we feel about that? A sponsor name annexed on Stamford Bridge rather than the name Stamford Bridge being washed away. I mean, the Chelsea supporters trust. Let's have it right. But absolutely not sign off on a full name change. So, of course, the Allianz, for Allianz Arena as well, which is, isn't it both Juve and Bayern Munich? I know Bayern Munich is the Allianz Arena. What's this Juventus Stadium called? What's the Juventus Stadium called? Juventus Stadium name. It's the Allianz Stadium. There you go. So what, the Allianz Arena and the Allianz Stadium. What would Stamford Bridge be? We've got arena done, we've got stadium, the Allianz Bridge. Sounds a bit underwhelming like that, doesn't it? Anyway, we'll see what happens. Let me know what you think about the aforementioned topics so far, and let's move on to some athletic stuff. Alright, before we speak about Simon Johnston's stuff, David Ornstein updates. Nicholas Jackson has completed his medical at Chelsea ahead of a move from Villarreal. Chelsea are paying the 22-year-old's forward release clause of just over £35 million. The Athletic reported this month that Jackson has agreed personal terms with the West London club. Why do they all say that? The West London club, the North London club. You know, do they call Palace the South London club? I guess they might do. Who knows? He is set to become the club's first signing under new boss Pochettino. Disrespect to Nkunku there, Ornstein. Oh, I see, because technically Pochettino isn't working yet. Fair enough. Jackson joined Villarreal in 2019 after progressing through their youth ranks. He made his debut in 2021. He attracted interest from Southampton, Bournemouth in January, almost joining the latter. Jackson scored 13 goals in 38 games last season for Villarreal, which is not great, but what people are banking on and what, you know, worries me is, of course, he was running hot at the end of the season, which means he's scoring a lot of goals. Let's say it. Say the line! He scored 9 goals in his last 8 games. Yeah. If you get that meme. Anyway, that's good. But what fills me with confidence, joy, hope, and fuzzies is that I've heard people that know a lot more about football than I do. Yes, they're out there. Say he's good. So, there you go. Happy with that. He made his debut for Senegal in November. Coming on as a substitute against Netherlands. Chelsea are set for a squad refresh. Havertz has gone to Arsenal for 65 million. Kovacic is going to City for 30 million. Of course, N'Golo Kante has moved to Al Ittihad. Oh, this is nice. A quick what to expect from Jackson. So this is an analysis from a guy called Tom Harris. Tom spelt Thom. Jackson's standout attribute is largely his effectiveness in transition. Oh, Pochettino loves transitional football. It's almost like this was planned. To combine his muscular frame... I actually popped a shoulder doing that. With close control and quick turn of pace. Well, close control, yes. I've seen clips of him on the internet doing dribbling. So, yes. The forward carries map. Basically, it shows you his carries map. Outlines his effectiveness on the ball, He goes all over the gaff and he goes towards goal. He's hella direct and he's really good at turning in the space. He's notably provided 2 assists from pitch devouring runs, ladies and gentlemen, away at Girona in May, or Girona, securing European football for Villarreal. Pitch devouring runs. Wow. You know, that's great. In an area around the area too, Jackson's got a very clear eye for goals, scoring 9 times in his final 8 games. There it is. Only Gabri Vega outperformed his expected goals by more than Jackson's 4.0 by just... Okay, so this is good. 2 reasons why this is good. Gabri Vega is a young La Liga midfielder that we've been linked with. Good player doing good things. We like to read about players that have been linked with Chelsea being good. And we love to see that Jackson is outperforming his XG, because if there's one thing we specialise at Chelsea, it's underperforming XG. Plus 36 of the Senegalese 41 shots came from inside the area. Yeah, basically, you get the ball in the area, he's going to whack it and score. God, that sounds good. A footballer keen to score goals in the area and just freaking lashes it with confidence. Chelsea forwards in the box, like, you take it, oh god, you take it, I don't want to, oh guys, give me the football, gaffer, what do I do? Until eventually someone panics and just lashes over the bar and just has a sigh of relief that they no longer have to deal with the football, rather than being like, oh, darn, I missed, just going, oh thank god it's over. It's depressing, but it's true. Now look, I, as many of you know, have seen the silver lining and the positives of the Chelsea ownership, as well as trying to highlight their flaws, of which there are quite a few, understandably, but maybe some not understandably as well. Simon Johnson has written a little bit in defense of them here. Let's see what he says. Sometimes you have the opportunity to write a piece and say something that flies in the face of public opinion, knowing it may well not be received, but here goes. I'm going to say it anyway. Chelsea are doing some good transfer business, and they should be acknowledged for it. There, I said it. It goes against the grain to say anything complimentary about the Todd Bowley Clearlake ownership these days, but this is because despite spending over £500 million on signings over the last 2 transfer windows, Chelsea experienced their worst ever Premier League campaign in terms of points last season by finishing 44 points in 12 plays. Oh, okay, why do we... When does this... You know, when does this end? Do you know what I mean? Like, when does this end? Because, like, I am tired of this. They've also had 4 different head coaches. It goes on. In charge, yes, Tuchel, Potter, Saltor, and Frank Lampard. Shout out to Bruno Saltor's 100% undefeated record as Chelsea manager. Frankly, no pun intended, it was a shambles. An embarrassment! Chelsea fans could not wait for it to end. Yes, meanwhile, the ownership increasingly became target of criticism. High-profile pundit Gary Neville accused Bowley on more than one occasion of, and in very derogatory fashion, of running Chelsea like he was playing Football Manager. Yeah, Gary Neville's just been... His sort of, like, penis levels have, like, elevated this season, you know? Quite a lot, really. And it's a shame. It's a shame. Even the hierarchy did not want to defend the indefensible. Last month, a statement came out on the website saying, clearly our men's team has been a disappointing season. There's a lot we can do better. Yeah, well, had they done anything short of that, I would be very upset. Okay, it's baby steps and early starts, but the early signs are positive. The fact that experienced coach Pochettino was secured and announced as an early positive. You know, you could also followed by Nkunku. It's an open secret. Chelsea want to make mass changes to the playing personnel this summer. Chelsea are eager to reduce the size of the senior squad, which totaled in excess of 30 players. I heard it was like in excess of 35, 40, if you counted like the whole loanees and everything, which is just mad. As well as bringing in some revenue to help comply with financial fair play. Indeed. Selling players is no easy task, and it was made even tougher when rival clubs are well aware that it's exactly what you want to do. We've spoken about this. Chelsea over a barrel. On top of this, Chelsea have been keen to get some deals done before June the 30th so they can go into their previous financial accounts period. And everyone, well, if we know this, everyone friggin' knows this. So it's not like, yeah, we want to sell players because we need money and we want to, like, trim the squad. It's, we need to do these things, and now. So, you know, it's not just over a barrel. I was going to make some more gross metaphorical nonsense, but you get the point. Our new regime's ability to get value from money from footballers are not bringing in a still open to debate, but as far as departures go, it's positive. So it actually began with Jorginho's sale to Arsenal for £12 million, considering it's 6 months left in his deal and he wasn't really being utilised anymore. The dude's in his 30s and he's not really the profile we want moving forward. To get 12 million big ones is great on the books. Of course, Kovacic for £30 million. Both players appreciated by Chelsea fans, largely due to the Champions League triumph in 2021, but it can't be ignored that the duo have been regulars in the midfield for the past 5 years. And we've not come close to challenging for the Premier League. Jorginho and Kovacic are 31 and 29 respectively. Fresh blood will be needed. Basically, we need to rebuild the midfield. We've known this for a long time. Enzo Fernandez, Moisés Caicedo, Andre Santos, Caicedo, eventually in the future, Kendrick Paez. We're making serious moves. Kai Havertz will be remembered for scoring the winner, but it's probably largely underwhelmed. This goes on. This is a big old article, and it goes on. It goes on dissecting what Chelsea have done in terms of selling Kai Havertz for 67 million, rising up to the exodus to Saudi, making good money from there, and alleviating ourselves of big wages. And it talks about people like Mudryk and Enzo moving forward, so it's positive. Of course, the Mason Mount saga goes on. No, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, theys and thems. I am not going to talk about Mason Mount in this video. Yes, it will surface. The saga's ugly head will surface again, but that is not this day. And there's a reference from Gladiator. No, Lord of the Rings. No. Yes, Lord of the Rings. I was thinking, I will see you again, but not yet. That's Gladiator. And I was doing Lord of the Rings, Aragorn, like, there may come a day where the bonds of men may fail, but that is not this day. The Black Gate. Yeah. So, some stuff's positive. I think in the new season with a smaller squad and some good players and new sponsors will feel safe, warm and comforted by money and capitalism. Anyway, that's going to wrap up here. Keep it locked. I'll upload as soon as the story pops, so turn the bell on when you subscribe. I'm going to open my window and turn the fan on because this studio light is sweating my gonads off. Peace.